Ha! Fair morn, friends. It is I, Alphinius Goo, with Devonichki, well, also known as Devrunda, yes, who is joining us today to talk about his Gen Con experience. And, of course, Camera Mandy, right behind the camera. Say hello.
Hello. Hello. Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you from the void.
We did not get the studio quite where we wanted to be. We're very close. But Camera Mandy was going to have to work till like 1 a.m, and we did not want to do that. And so we determined to send her home and get a little rest. Did you get a little rest, Camera Mandy?
I did indeed, but I do have an update on the studio, and we will be back. We will be back next week.
Say hello, Devrunda.
What's going on, good people? How y'all doing out there?
Look at that. What do you think of that, Junior?
Oh, man, that's
yeah, very nice.
It is almost done. It is, but I lost the cord for the audio, and it's somewhere in a box somewhere. And yeah, but we were so close.
Isn't that looking good? Yeah, we were going to sit right there, but it wasn't going to work out, But we also have to put Michelle's marvelous artwork that she made from Gen Con, and we need to put the little plushie that Carrie gave us in there as well, Camera Mandy. But yes, it looks magnificent.
Well, and this is only part of the room, because then we have the other half of the room that we still need to decorate, and it's going to be awesome when we're actually, it's all done, and we have all of our gooey art and all the gooey things that people have sent us. Anyway, but that is our studio update, and we are so close. So I can't wait.
I hope everybody likes the look of it. It looks fantastic to me. I think it's got a great feel, to it. Did you take any pictures of the other side where the game table is? Did you do that, Camera Mandy?
I was very focused on the one side of the room, and so the other side of the room is not so beautiful right now. It's not there yet, but it will be there, and we'll get all of our lighting set up, and it's going to be when it's done. It's going to take the show to the next level. Because, like, for instance, like, I would love the idea of Devin being able to join us in studio at the table, or Namastacy, or if you guys come out and visit us, like, we want you guys to
come join us. Yeah, we're gonna get Stacy on. I talked to her about that because she has this wonderful group that she runs a lot of games for, and it's just underwater basket weaving, I believe, is the name on Discord. That's not bad. Underwater basket weaving. Yes. Underwater basket weaving. So the reason I wanted Devin to come on is because he had the opportunity to experience Gen Con for the first time. Yeah. And what did you think? What did you think?
It was quite the experience.
Yeah.
It was great. Good people. A lot of fun. Feet hurt, but it was good.
Wear good shoes. Did you wear good shoes, Devin?
Yeah. Next time I'll bring my.
There was like 60,000 people there. Does anybody know in the chat how many with the total attendance was? I want to say it was close to 60,000, but I don't know for sure. That was something.
It was awesome.
So you were at the booth pretty much all the time when we weren't on. So tell us about the booth a little bit.
The booth was great. Just all the different people that came by, man. It's just Mike out there is just giving the spiel. He was great at it. I was getting good eye contact with people, getting them to come over to talk, and then I had to pass them on, give a good assist. Give an assist. But I got a few. It was great. It was good though. No. A lot of the gooey people that are already there. Oh, yeah. They came and
they supported us.
Yeah,
so
they
much.
Supported us.
I mean, really, right?
Awesome.
Talking about, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. They sold stuff for us and stuff, so it was great.
Yeah, the GenzaCon, everybody liked that.
That was great.
People loved it.
Once I told them about the GenzaCon, they were sold.
Yeah. People really were excited about that. Has anybody got a GenzaCon and actually opened it, or have anybody in the chat?
I have a picture. Hold on.
Yeah, has anybody had a chance to actually look at the digital copies? I'd be interested to see what people think who've actually opened it, because I know a lot of people are not going to open it because it is collectible.
Yeah. We got a really nice email from someone who was blown away by the GenzaCon. Okay, so let me show you this picture from the Gooey Den.
Yeah, that was Robert who put that up. Thank you, Robert. It's marvelous.
Yeah. So we got a wonderful email saying that, okay, so just to be clear, if you have not received your digital download codes, please email us at bookofknowledge@gooeycube.com and we will get you taken care of on Monday. It's the weekend, so give Mel a second. But we've gotten some emails from people saying, oh, I haven't gotten my digital copies yet, but they got their physical copies, and they, like, one of the emails was just like, I'm so blown away by all the material that you put into it. It's all great quality. And so we've gotten some really nice emails. And I want to say thank you to everyone who was so kind when emailing us about getting their digital download codes, because we never get mean emails. Everyone's always so sweet. So
the truth, y'all. I mean, that's the truth. Everyone is so considerate. We make a mistake, we make a goof up somewhere, and we always try to fix it. But
I understand.
Yeah, but people. But you remember what Colt said about when he went to Dragon Con. So Colt has Devin and Colt are kind of jocks, you know what I'm saying? So they don't really know us nerds so much, right?
But it's just okay though. I'm learning.
It's like it's strangers in a distant land. Like Colt at these nerd things is always texting me and just like, what is this?
I don't mind asking questions, man. I don't mind asking questions.
So check this out, Junior. We were at and I call him Junior because that's what I've called him since he moved in with us when he was 15 and never moved out. Well, until he got married, then he moved out.
Finally.
So we went to Dragon Con, and there's like all these people in the main hall with this big party that they do every year. They're all dressed up, in costumes, way more than even in Gen Con. I mean, it's just totally decked out,
wow. Yeah.
So we're standing there, and the music is playing, and people are drinking, and Colt says to me, he says, I look at the police who are there to sort of keep the thing in order, right? And he says, I'm looking at the police and they're not even really paying attention. They're texting, they're laughing with each other, they're talking, you know what I'm saying? They're not really paying attention. And then he says, I suddenly realized that I'd never been at any kind of a thing like this where there weren't people fighting, where there weren't people yelling at each other. There weren't people...
Peace.
It's just peace.
Peace everywhere. Zero conflict.
Who loves the nerds? Yes, we love the nerds. I am a nerd. I love the nerds. The geeks are out there. Yes, but it is true. We are much more, I think, peaceful kind of folk. I don't know all what that is, but it is a marvelous thing. And thank you truly for all your kindness when you're dealing with us, because it makes it much easier on everybody. So it is wonderful.
We're peaceful because we get all of our angst out during combats in the game. So we're like fierce in the game.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, big awesome. What's up, baby? Big dog.
I'm so frustrated I didn't get a picture of the two of you together.
I have one.
Big dog.
You have a picture of them?
Yeah. I showed it last week.
Well, I missed it then.
Let me
find it quick while we're
chatting.
Let me see
if I can. Yeah. So
Devin, tell me about you got a chance to see the Gooey game show.
Right.
I wanted you to play, but I couldn't get you in. So it's just the way it was.
It's okay. That was awesome.
Was it?
That was great, man.
The crowd was cheering.
People booing, cheering. It was great. People walking. We're trying to get people walking by. Everybody started walking in. Everybody wants to peek in. It was great.
Yeah,
that was the best time. That was my best. That was my favorite part of the whole.
Was there something?
Yeah, it was great just to sit and watch all the people just soak it all in.
Yeah,
it was
fun.
awesome.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Mandy, I don't know. I can't remember. I told you. Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
Yes, those are some huge men with a not so huge man between them.
Lost them.
I agree with that, Jen. I think that is very much part of it. But man, that is a lot of size right there. Yes.
Wow. Right, guy.
But Mandy, I don't know if I told you that. I can't remember. I told you, but the stream, or did you tell me? I can't remember. The stream guys who were running the stream for all of Gen Con said it was the best thing that they had done so far at Gen Con was the game show.
Yeah,
so that was pretty exciting to hear.
Yeah, so, we know how to keep a crowd.
All the people, the guy who was running the cameras and all that, man. Even afterwards, he came by our table. Was like, "That's the greatest I've ever seen."
Wow.
That was bigger than any. Yeah, so he was even really pumped about it.
Yeah, that makes your day.
Yeah,
that makes your day.
Yeah, it did.
And soon we will play one in studio with the Discord audience.
Oh yeah.
everyone online, just like we did before. I think it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to
Let me throw that ball at you, Kim.
Yeah.
Live on air.
Yo, that live crowd, though, you can't beat the live
crowd.
That is great.
Yeah, 200 some people in the room.
Yeah,
they yelling and jumping.
People standing.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Yeah. So the energy for sure is great, but we get through more rooms online. So
yes. So I talked to Megan, Marvelous Megan, who from Gen Con, and she gave me a whole lowdown and rundown on all the stuff. And she said that they were very impressed with all the Gooey people in the Gooey Game Masters and the way we ran our room. They definitely want us back again next year. She said, "Did you want a bigger room?" I said, "I don't think so, because we don't want to leave the main hall, even though we could definitely accommodate more people." So I think we're going to be in the same general area as last time. Extremely complimentary. She said even Derek, who is not the most effusive individual, he's just wonderful. I don't know how he keeps everything straight. He just keeps everything going at Gen Con in terms of this coordination and all of this stuff. Said to Megan specifically that those Gooey Cube people continue to surprise me with a big smile on his face. Is that not marvelous? That makes you feel
that's
good.
great. Yes, that's somebody who doesn't, put a big old smile on his face. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that's really something. And so Peter loved Peter Haas Weizikost, who was Peter Atkinson, loved his portrait, loved what we did. Megan says that there's a bunch of people now at Gen Con who want to have their portraits done as part of the Citadel of Genzicon. Mm-hmm. So we're probably going to do a sequel next year, which I'm pretty excited. That's good.
Hey,
got to.
Maybe I'll put Devrunda in there.
Oh yeah, put him in there.
If we're going to do a sequel, you need to buy the first one with the original portraits. If you have not already, you don't want to get the sequel without the original limited edition one that's not going to be for sale after September 10th. So
yeah, yo, honestly, you know what? If you haven't got this, because it's beautiful, right there. I mean, it's about a half-inch thick.
Yeah, it's great. This is beautiful. Just the whole story, the whole setup. Once people kind of learned what it was about, it was like, oh, I gotta have it. Yeah, we gotta have it. So,
the first time the Thule appear in our materials, and it's just wonderful to think that we were able to take this thing, which was originally not going to be that big of an adventure. And Rob did some marvelous work on it for us, and then he handed it back to me, and then AJ and I kind of battled it to the end, to the finish line. And but it's just wonderful to think that it has made such a great impression. And for those of you, I really encourage you. Again, obviously, we never want people to spend money they don't have. But if you can afford to get one of those physicals before September 10th, I encourage you to do so. You get the physical and digital for $50, and those portraits of Peter and David and Megan and Derek and Marion will only be in the physical edition only through September 10th. After that, they're removed and they're replaced by the other portraits that we have in there in the digital version right now. So it's pretty collectible. I don't think there'll probably be more. Originally, I thought there could be as many as 1,000. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think there won't be more than about 500 to 600 of those in the world when we're all done, which is pretty,
I like that exclusive.
Yeah. Also, on this stream, we're going to be giving out a signed copy of the cover of Shadows and Genzicon. I'm going to give out 3 of them. So stay tuned. We're going to be doing giveaways during the show.
That's pretty exclusive too, because there'll only be 3 of those in the world, unless I give them to myself.
The signed covers, there's already going to be like 6, because I've already given away some in the previous episodes. But there's only going to be 20 total. Okay. I'm only getting 20 printed. So those are pretty. But listen, Devin, we have so much to get through today. Give me your final thoughts on Gen Con, and what was like your favorite thing about Gen Con?
Again, the game show.
Yeah.
That was the highlight of the whole, like, that really brought everything for me kind of like, oh wow, this is Gooey Cube is a thing. It's a thing. Like, people love it.
Mandy, did you hear a lot of people say stuff about the game show? Did you hear a lot of
everyone was hugely complimentary, even online where we had mishaps, not all ours, just to be clear, but yeah, even though there were mishaps with like the technology and stuff like that, people still really enjoyed the game show. I got huge compliments, and by the way, our online prizes have all been packaged, and they will be going out on Monday. So so I think that the game show is just one thing, though, that could help move this like Gooey Cube along. Whereas like also we have the games that were being run, the materials that we're showing. I think it all comes together to create not to mention our community. I can't say enough how much our community helps get people to see what we're doing with Gooey Cube. So yeah, all of this is what works together to get us to where we're going. So
Indeed.
yeah.
Indeed. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, my son. I appreciate you so much for hanging out with us today, and we'll see how it goes on the next thing as we continue down this crazy path.
I'm in. I'm all the way in.
You're gooey.
I'm gooed up.
I love it.
All right, so
bye, Dev.
Hi, Devin.
Bye.
Okay, so this is a big thing, and I know probably some of our commenters will have some thoughts on what's going on with 1D&D, and we're curious to hear what everyone's thinking. We have a great post going, or several good posts going in the GUI Game Masters Den of Enlightenment with people's thoughts and opinions on things that are changing, things that are staying the same. What do you think, Alphinius?
So the thing that I'm, of course, excited about, because we put an awful lot of work into all this stuff, is that they really are trying to, I think, to make it backward compatible, which is wonderful. And that, doesn't means that we don't have to go in and revise everything that we've produced, and more than for us, for lots of other open game license producers, publishers, there's little publishers out there, because we sort of do this print on demand thing. Right? So we don't really print a whole huge amount of stuff and then put it in a warehouse and store it, right? Because I'm always afraid of something like this happening, right? Where somebody comes out and they create the where they create a new version, and then all of a sudden everything that you've produced is not really sellable anymore. And so you've got all this stuff sitting in a warehouse, and you have to fire sale it, if you can even fire sale it at all. And it's really hard on small publishers to have that kind of thing occur. So for me, that was very, very important that they were doing that. And then the statement that just came up about 1D&D, yes, that's right, because it wasn't one, right, Randy? One was the white box, yes. But I think that's the goal, right? Is for them to move away, because I have a feeling, they said they talked a lot to the fans. And I have a feeling that they got a lot of pushback from people saying, we're getting tired of this constant versioning. And most people believe it's just because you're trying to make more money, and it doesn't play well with the community that, you just keep throwing these things out there, and we have to get rid of all our old stuff that we had before and blah, blah, blah. And so I have a feeling that they are responding somewhat to that. I do like the fact that they're pushing these backgrounds more. This is not exactly similar to what we're doing with our peoples in the wizard world, but I think people are going to like what we're doing with our people and our various races that we have, and how we're doing it. But I think we're in a good place with this. And inspiration, of course, I prefer a more variable thing than inspiration. Thank you for saying that, Jen. I meant to talk about that. The inspiration thing is cool, right? Because it's kind of a reward. But I like a more variable thing. That's why we have GUI rewards in the first place. And I actually was funny. I was just talking to Harry about the possibility of maybe at the same time that this 5e thing comes out, that maybe we'll come out with some GUI rewards that are more class specific, so that they actually work perhaps with a certain class, and then the game master can actually, and they might be extra special GUI rewards, and we kind of keep those to the side that the game master that can then provide them. So we're pretty stoked about this, that they're not going to blow up 5. They're not going to have a whole new version that's going to create all this stuff. So there's a lot of positivity about it. There's been some comments that I kind of agree with, that there's kind of the way they're doing backgrounds could imply to new players and to new game masters that you can't make up your own, right? Thank you, Red Dwarf. I appreciate that. I agree with you. We've got a lot of people who really like those GUI rewards, and we're going to keep doing those and putting those out there. But there were some people who are concerned, and I don't think it's a bad concern, that the intimation that you might not have to make up your own backgrounds or have the opportunity to make up your own backgrounds and all that stuff, which is more fun for players, obviously. So that's one thing. I hope they address that, saying here are some backgrounds you can use, but you can also make up your own, that kind of thing. So what else, Camera Many? What else we got in the chat with people sort of throwing things down that they'd like to chat about?
I mean, I feel like character backgrounds are a big one. I know just from reading the comments, how we're doing crit and fails are a big deal.
Does it carry? I didn't see that, so that's good to know. That's great to know.
Yeah,
I'm glad they do that.
I'm like watching their video. I'm interested in some of the things they're trying to do with like their technology, trying to create their own digital platforms. We already have Roll20, we already have Fantasy Grounds and several others. And it seems like they're trying to create their own version of that, which is interesting to me. I mean, I think they're just trying to modify it and make it more modern for younger people in the digital age.
I think that's true, and I think if you think also, if you saw sort of their plans for the digital game board and the customizable digital game board, so many people saw that stuff. There's a lot, the Space Clown Refugee, and really. And I do agree with this, Jen. I can't agree with this more than anything else. The rules are meant to be facilitating of the adventure. They're not meant to be the adventure. If you want to play a war game, go play a war game, right? Because the facilitation of the adventure is what, at least for my table. And again, I don't like to throw shade because different people play different ways and they enjoy different ways of playing and all of that stuff. When we were younger, sometimes we'd get together and probably have a little bit more to drink than we should have to drink, and the games really got very silly, and we had a great time, right? And we weren't really telling a tale as much at that point as just getting together with friends and laughing and drinking. But as I've grown, through the years, and really it began in my 30s, not in my 20s. My mid 20s my late 20s to early 30s. We really began to be about the tale, and that's why the rules are important. Lydia, I'm going to talk about this. Mandy, leave that up. I'll talk about that in a moment.
Yeah.
And so we really became more and more about the story and more about the story. And that became more and more enthralling. And it just became so obvious that at least all the people that I was playing with at that time, which was quite a number of different folks, but in particular, one group that was my primary campaign, that was better than anything else we'd done. And it just continued to perpetuate itself. So I can't disagree at all that generally the rules need to be more guideline-y, I think, for most tables. And Lydia, I do want to talk about this because this is a great fear that I have. They don't really technically claim ownership, at least as if you look at D&D Beyond right now. What they say is that you grant them an irrevocable license in perpetuity to use your materials on their platform without any requirement of compensation or anything like that. And so what that means for small publishers like us is that we really can't put stuff up on that platform without being very aware that the future means that we give away all our IP. And I wish that they would not do that. I hope that they will figure out a different method for doing so. One of the reasons that we have never published on RPG, drive-through RPG in the main in the section for D&D is they do take a sizable portion of the money, but beyond that, they made very clear that any map that you created in the Forgotten Realms, those kinds of things, were their property as well. And so this is scary for small publishers and frankly, honestly, for you all as well. Because if you ever have a future thought that you might want to publish a character, that you might want to create write a book or make an adventure or something involving the various things that you've put up on these platforms, it kind of makes you go, ouch, do we have a problem in our future? So I do think that that's going to be something that we'll see how it plays out in the future. But anyway, that enough about that. What am I missing anything that I need to be?
No, I think there's a lot of good discussion in the comments, and I think we should keep this conversation going, not necessarily on the show because we have a bunch more stuff we have to get to, but definitely in Discord in the Gooey Game Masters of Enlightenment. It does seem like they are interested in the feedback. Like, I mean, they made that clear in the video that they are interested in hearing like what the playtesters have to say about it. Someone had mentioned in the comments that if enough people express their dislike for nat 20s and fails and everything like that, maybe they will, adapt what they're putting out there. I think overall they do want people to be happy with it. So yeah, I think that there's like some tentative like positivity towards it, but we also just have to see what ends up happening. And I do absolutely agree that for content creators, you always want to read the terms and service before you start using stuff like this, just to make sure that you own it. Don't skip over the legalese. Make sure that you outright own what you are creating, because they may come up with the mechanics, but the characters and the story comes from your group and from your own mind, and you deserve to have ownership over your own thoughts and ideas.
Absolutely. That's even what we say in the contributors. You know this from the beginning, Camera Mandy. I've asked everyone in the contributors and said it many, many times. Just because we have to, if you're going to share something in Zyathé and we're going to publish it, we have to own that. There's no other way around it. We will, of course, compensate you for that provisioning, but don't give us anything that for the world that is something that you might want to use in your future. Keep it secret, keep it safe, right? Just keep that for yourself. And there's plenty of ideas. There's all kinds of wonderful things that people can bring to Zyathé if they want to. Without having to give away something that's very special to them. And that is really the underpinning as cornerstone to the Contributors Guild is do not do that. So
yes.
Anyway, we got some guests to bring on. Yes, what are we gonna do? We're gonna do social media first.
Yeah, we gotta just run through a few things really quickly. Yes. I know we've talked over our time. So these fun pieces of art, I want you to talk about the Sealy fairies and these creatures. And
so people have been asking about what's a Bollybonk, what's a Grensinger, right? What's an Eyewalker, what are these things, right? And we really wanted to give a very fairy feel to these creatures. I've got more coming in. We licensed some artwork from a really wonderful artist who had done some of these creatures. And then we worked with one of our artists to sort of make them our own, paint over them a little bit, make them a little different and those kinds of things. I really am loving how they are coming out and the funness of how they might be and really give more exotic feel to the fairy courts. So they're not, just a bunch of little humans sitting around. They do. A number of people said they look a little Muppety, which was wonderful because who does not love Jim Henson and all of that stuff. They also got a little feel to the where the wild things are, which was magnificent, right? So I still don't know why the artist, hey, tell Sword Maiden I said hello. I don't know about this smoke coming out of this, but we're going to write a tale about this now. So the Grensingers are going to be able to do magic with their pipes, right? That's what we're thinking. So we're pretty excited about seeing how these go. I'm glad you all like them. A lot of good comments about them in the den. So wonderful.
Love it.
By the way, my friends, if you haven't given us a like, or a follow on here, please do. Please give us a follow and help us out as we go forward on that. And that always helps us if you haven't done so already. And then also, I know many of you already do this, but when you get the invites in the Gooey Den, if you would please just answer yes, no, or yes or maybe, even if you can't make it to the thing. I think that helps us with Facebook's algorithm telling people that they are interested. Because we can deliver the invites to more people when that occurs. So if you could do that for us, we'd appreciate it. So I'm pretty excited about this, Camera Mandy. So in the Gloomport, may I tell a tale? I won't go too long, Camera Mandy. I won't go too long. In the Gloomport, south of Genzicon Citadel, is another building that has been around since perhaps before the War of Ruin. This building was part of the early times of the Gloomport before it became the Gloomport, when it was a sort of a backwater portage for the Eternic civilization. But ship travel was not as big of a deal in those times because they could fly things much faster all over the planet. And so the Gloomport was different. And there was many dwarves who lived in this area, and this building happened to be there. And sometime back, it was purchased by a number of retired adventurers who made it into an inn and tavern. And this actually goes back to in my teens and 20s, an inn that was actually placed in the city-state of the Invincible Overlord, which originally began as the Baby Coracle. So if anybody has any of that long-standing tradition and you remember the Baby Coracle, it was actually mentioned in the city-state of the Invincible Overlord. And our party bought the Baby Coracle and renamed it Strong Arm McGillans. And then Strong Arm McGillans became quite an interesting base of operations. And I hope to take Strong Arm McGillans in the Gloomport to even a further level with all of the interesting things that are going on in there. There's rumored to be a portal in the basement that still functions. There's a number of interesting things, a lot of haunts and creepy happenings that occur, but it's still an incredibly popular place with the locals, with adventurers, and a lot of folks stay there when they're getting ready to actually go enter the Grimmendon dungeon. So I think it's going to be wonderful. And of course, the image is coming together tremendously well. And for those of you who have asked about this tree that is there, so in the Zion Dune, since the Woe of Ruin, there's stone that has sort of actually come to life. And this is not just in the Zion Dune, it is actually on the surface of the planet as well. And there are these forests in the Zion Dune of these stone trees, if you will, that are called Illumi'in. And the Illumi'in it's not finished yet. This is obviously not quite finished, but the Illumi'in are found all over the Zion Dune, along with glow crystal, which really makes the Zion Dune very different from our world because there are lots of light sources and all of that kind of stuff. I hope people love this. I'm very enamored with the image of it. Our artist is working very hard, Edvard, who's doing this, and he's really excited about it because he knows how special it is to me, and how special hopefully it will be to many of your players as we go forward with the creation of the Gloomport.
Yeah, I think that it's an incredible tale. I think it's a very evocative image in terms of the colors, the feel, the mood. So I think they're doing a great job. And we have our first winner for this episode.
Who won?
It was Shadowborn 1975 is our first winner.
You mean it wasn't Randy or Andrew?
I know. Shocking. I have a screenshot of the actual, I'll put it up at the end, but yes. So if you want to enter, we have 2 more giveaways to do throughout the episode. It's #giveaway on Twitch, and that enters you to win the next 2 signed copies of the cover of Gensicon. So next up, this is from Nate, who is one of our amazing contributors, and it's promoting his TikTok, Barbarian Bristle. And yeah, he has cool stuff going on, and thought I'd give him a shout out.
Yeah, Nate makes all this stuff by hand. He doesn't, unlike me, he doesn't go spend money. He spends money obviously because he has to make all the materials, but he's just a wonderful artist, and this is just so wonderful. He put this up, and Nate also worked with Michael, and they helped us in the creation of the Vendraxian Tundra in East Verdestia. And they were two of the contributors that helped out with East Verdestia, and really made it wonderful. And we just appreciate Nate. He's been Gooey for so long. I'm not sure if he's in the chat, but he is magnificent and a good friend to the Gooey Cube.
All right, I just want to point out something though. Sorry, not about Nate, about Randy, because you had mentioned Randy didn't, Randy didn't win? Okay. Randy, and please don't feel like you ever have to do this. Randy won last week's Shadows and Gensicon. However, he'd already gotten 2 copies purchased for him at the convention. And so Randy had me go around and have everyone sign the book. And then next year at Gen Con, he's going to go around and try and get all the original people from Gen Con to sign the book. And then he's going to donate the book back to us so we can then do an auction, a charity auction for it in the future down the road. So I will say, like, Randy does win a lot.
Randy is marvelous. Randy's actually helping us with Gloomport, the Gloomport. He's one of the Gloomers. And we're going to have that meetup, by the way, right after this. So all of you who are in the Gloomers, please join us in the Discord for just about a half an hour or so we can reignite, sort of, now that Gen Con is over, reignite that. But Randy, along with a number of other folks, are working really hard on the whole catacombs area, which is right next to Gravenstown, which now everybody understands why it's called Gravenstown, right? Because it's right next to this place where so many people were buried before and after and all of that stuff. And I'm so excited about this. Okay, so I'll move past Randy, but Randy, you are marvelous. Thank you.
Randy, you so much. We're going to wrap up social media real quick because we got to get Corey and James on.
So Scott, for a while, posted some marvelous pictures of dice for us because he's got a little artistry with his camera, and also he loves dice. And I encouraged him to please consider again putting up some images, and this is just so good. And we appreciate you, Scott, when you put these up, because again, inspiration comes in all manner of forms, and art and words and videos, and all these things help us with our creativity and our thoughts. And so we are just appreciative to see Scott doing this again.
Absolutely. And everyone loves dice. We are
Indeed.
dice people. We are all dice people. Okay, this is from Carrie. It is a poll because she really wants us to make plushies, Gooey Cube type plushies. And so just go check it out. I like the idea of the Dark Tide Teddy being a plushie. Like this horrifying teddy bear.
I put up Smedley, but nobody seems to really want to do Smedley. You know, I thought Smedley would be good.
I'm shocked that the wizard's hat doesn't have more. I obviously voted for the wizard's hat. You need a wizard.
And then Rob, of course, put up that Zix Gramus is going to be the spiritual leader, but nobody really voted for that. So. And then, of course, Brittany said the god of drinking, Buffon. Yes.
I think that Gragnik put up a comment, which I agreed with, is that if you get a plushie, you tend to snuggle with them. So snuggling with Zix Gramus.
No one wants to snuggle with Zix Gramus.
I'm not saying nobody does, but, nobody wants to admit it online with a vote is all I'm saying. Okay, this is from Jim. This is actually very cool. He does these decks of many things through Woomba. This one was an arcane version, and I just love the art for it.
Yeah, it's worth a peek, y'all. Wombo is a wonderful little application for making these sort of very abstract artworks, and really fun to take a peek at. So and fun to play around with, honestly, for a while if you've got nothing else to do, to sit there and just kind of make some artworks and watch what comes up, and depending on the keywords you put in and all that stuff, it's very cool.
Yes, indeed. Okay, sorry, we're just zooming through this. Okay, is there a Gooey Cube DM screen? There's a great thread happening right now about what people would like to see in a Gooey Cube DM screen. I'm not promising that they're coming anytime soon, but it is on a list in our task manager called Gooey Goals. We are working on it. One day we will have
I really want to put it in the next Kickstarter. So we'll see what happens. But of course, it's going to have to be extra special, right? It's going to have to be really cool. So we'll see what we can do about that. And I know Zane is working on some things, himself about that. So we'll see what transpires as we go forward.
Yes, indeed. Okay. Oh, good. We're at Tabletop Misfits. I'm going to bring on James and Corey.
All right.
Hi.
Hello. Hey. Hello.
Hello, Fred.
Might be killing me. I don't know. We'll see.
So there are a number of people who are involved in the Misfits, right? But in this Plots and Darkenhaven scheme that has suddenly come to the world, right? I think it was mostly these two sort of brainchilded, and then others sort of began to dance with it as well, Pam and Matt and a number of others. So why don't you two tell us a little bit about, first of all, the Misfits. James, maybe you could do that, and then we can let Corey talk a little bit about Plots and Darkenhaven. How does that sound?
That's perfectly fine to me. Can everybody hear me? Make sure, because I've been driving for the last 10 hours, so I'm pretty tired. But no, so Tabletop Misfits kind of came from a group of us after the Gooey Game Show happened. Goodness, I don't know, almost 2 years ago online. We came together and we said, hey, let's build a actual game in the world. And we didn't want to give off any of the secrets of the box sets and that kind of thing. And we decided to launch it on stream. And that was almost 2 years ago now. And then, of course, not only that, but about a month after that, Corey came to me and said, hey, let's talk D&D online. So that's where Tavern Talks came from. And we have been exploring all of the areas of Verdestia. As Kim would say, we've been burning it down, but it's not completely true.
You burned down a lot of things.
So many things.
The Misfits are definitely burners.
They are, and it seems like it didn't stay too far away for Plots in Darkenhaven. We haven't burned everything down in Plots in Darkenhaven yet, though. But
we haven't burned one building in Darkenhaven thus far. Not even one.
No, there was a lot of talk about it, but nobody had done it yet. No, you're right. It's like we have that weird conscience thing now in Darkenhaven. It's weird. But no, so we decided that we would launch this, and we wanted to not just do it in our own custom world. We wanted to do it in the world of Gooey Cube and the world of Zyathé. And a lot of us have written in it, so why not play in it? And that's kind of where the next part was launched, and I'll let Corey take care of that. So
yeah, Plots in Darkenhaven came about in my mind as soon as I learned about the Darkenhaven box set that was in the Kickstarter, and I was like, okay, I want a lot of different people to experience Darkenhaven. Which the take on this stream is a little bit different than the previous one, the Affordables that James ran, in that this is an episodic group of adventures. So every episode is a different guest that comes on stream, a different cast of characters, and a full story, start, middle, end, during that one episode. There is a theme overarching season one, where little tidbits get scattered out in the episodes, but for each episode it is a full story, and our cast is not just, I think we have 5 main cast members, 4 backup cast members, and a guest every week that comes on and interacts with the group. So that's what Plots in Darkenhaven is in essence. And the thing you have up on screen now is actually the first time the group leaves Darkenhaven. Episode 7, Game at the Black Table, comes from the Western Verdestia source book, page 66, if you want to read a little bit about the Feyweird. And they're going to leave Darkenhaven and kind of tie in some of the things that happened in episode 3, where somebody from the Feyweird came to Darkenhaven. And then they're going to go do this game at the Black Table, which is going to be interesting because it's very... the Black Table is this place where the different Feyari courts come together and solve differences. So that's kind of what this episode is about. And we're also, because this is episode 7, which means we've done 6 of our 12 episodes already. So it's our mid-season episode, basically. We are giving away some prizes, and you can join one of these Feyari courts for Sunday's episode, for tomorrow's episode, and basically put wagers in. And yeah, there's the post. I can also link in the form to fill out so that you can join one of these Feyari courts. So basically, you're going to join one of these courts. You're going to wager on what you think the cast will do. I've asked the cast not to look at this form so that they have no idea what the wagers are actually about. And you get to wager, and the people who guess correctly are entered to win some of these tabletop games on Steam, like Scythe, Ticket to Ride, Blood Rage. We have some Steam codes that we'll be giving out to our players, digital prizes. So you can win, and that's kind of what tomorrow's episode is all about. Don't have to be present to win. You can watch the VOD later if you want. But I'm really excited about it because it's the first time the cast of the Plots in Darkenhaven get to leave Darkenhaven and do something different. but that's what it's about. And Mandy is going to come on our last episode of the season, episode 12.
Oh, it's true.
The Quest of the Dead Magistrate. That will be a fun one as well.
Absolutely.
Well, it's been, if you don't mind, Mandy, it's been marvelous. I've caught a couple, 3 of the episodes and then watched a little bit on videos afterwards. I haven't gotten them all yet, but, that's just a fact of Gen Con and trying all the madness that's been happening over the last few weeks. And the problem, this is the problem. I don't know if you all have this experience, but I have this experience, right? So you work really hard to get this Shadows and GenzaCon thing done before Gen Con, which a lot of people do things before they go to a convention. Then they go to the convention, and for us, it was driving and then driving back and then 4 days and all of that stuff. And then you come back to your real life job, right? And there's this enormous pile of stuff.
Yeah.
And then you get out a shovel, right? And you start shoveling. But the problem is people keep adding more to the pile of stuff as you're shoveling when you've returned. So that's why I've not watched them all. But they have been really, really good. I watched the last one that you had with Carrie and Alexander on. It was fun and just really, really a joy to watch y'all.
Yeah. One thing I definitely want to talk about on this episode is how you guys take our materials and adapt it for gameplay. So you don't use our modules, you use our world guides and little tidbits that we put in the Gooey Den. And I know that you guys have an inside source on Darkenhaven, which hasn't been released yet since Jens is on the show. But I want to know how you guys find things that you are interested in and then take those and make it something that your players can use and play with as well.
We look for things that are flammable.
Okay.
This is what I say. This is just the way it is.
Just kidding. I'll let you go first, James.
Yeah. So what we did is we decided to, because the affordables was one of those things where we had nothing. We went the exact opposite direction of the Red Star Rising campaign, and it was at that point where I was going through all 3 chapter books. I was going through Western Verdestia source book. And I was just trying to see, okay, if this was mentioned here, was this mentioned here? And then try to pull it all together and then come up with a story in that location. And that started in Grandorf, which was literally, hop, skip, and a jump away from Nevermore. And then we started to just ride along the coastline. And anybody that put a contribution in or put some sort of tidbit of idea, we would just elaborate on it. And that grew all the way through the coastal line of Western Verdestia. And then we decided to extrapolate that even more with plots in Darkenhaven. Not only are we diving into a story, but we're making sure that we are hitting those contribution points hard. We're making sure we're bringing those to life, because that's what this is about, right? This isn't about us telling a story. This is about us telling the story that everybody has written. And by doing that, we've been able to give so many contribution, just shout outs and tell people all these amazing things that people have written. Last week was Carrie's and Alex's theater. We also added Christie's ranch into that one. And we're trying to find more and more ways to do this, because that is the one thing that sadly we don't see. Is we get all these books, we have all these opportunities to run with our own group, but now we're trying to bring this to the audience level where they can see all the amazing things that everybody else has written. So that's what we're working on right now, and we're going to continue to do so as long as we can. So,
well, yeah, it's been great, you guys, so far, and I hope other people get a chance to take a peek at it and see. And the players are engaged, and there's a lot of there's drama. There's even some heartstrings get pulled a little bit.
That's me. Yes, I destroy people. Great, love it. I do it all every week. But no, I really think that the drama, the fun play, all of that seems to be playing really well into this story that we've built out. And I say story very lightly because, like he said, it's episodic. So you don't have to watch episode 1 to know what's going on in episode 5.
That's right.
Which is great because it solves 3 problems that we ran into as game masters. 1, what if the game master cancels? What if a player cancels? What about if I miss a session? Those are the 3 questions we asked each other before we even launched Plots in Darkenhaven, because we wanted to make sure those were the 3 puzzles that were solved before we went forward. And then a quick shout out to Brina, who's in here. She does all of our artwork. If you can see, it's amazing. I just want to shout her out because she's floating around in chat as well. So.
Yeah. Well, and let's talk about the art, because you have, or not just the art, but actually building characters with our materials. Because you have, what is this, a maroon and a Garoon?
Yeah. So we have a Garoon. We have a Garoon bard, which, you think Garoon are these grumpy, these big, massive creatures, humans. But really, if you start to go into their lore of being very, yes, they're a little slower in cases, and they think a little bit in a larger perspective, but they have this magicalness about music, and they have this connection to the earth, and they understand. They're just very, in my opinion, when I read them, I think very tribal. But then when we got Monty, we saw a whole new side of the Garoon. Same with Yosemite Sam over here. This was the joke we had, but really he brought this character to life as a Maroon. And no, they're not blue dwarves. They're not sea dwarves. They're completely different. And as you read through it, we play with that joke, but at the same time, he brings those ideas out to characters. And then we've also made sure that most of our characters have some connection to one of the 72 gods, because if we're going to put 72 gods in there, we might as well try to play with as many of them as possible. So you've got Godfrey, who's my character, who runs with Quasis. You have Matt's character, who is blanking on right now, but he has connections to a couple different gods, and a couple others are also connected to that lore that we build in the world of Zyathé, because we want it all to link together. And
so by the way, this is not Freddie Mercury, correct? I just want to make sure this a character here, right?
No, that's Sigismund. He's a paladin.
We've had people say Freddie Mercury. We've had people say Jim Carrey.
You could even get a little Magnum PI from the old days, right?
But it's funny because these guys all had a very small amount of information, and we wanted them to create characters that made sense to the story. But definitely something that we wanted to promote was the fact that they all had this goal. So they all came together as part of the. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to talk about this part. Corey, you can say the premise of the whole season 1 without giving it away.
Okay, I can give the premise of, and this is a very thin plot line that we wanted to be able to throw in when we needed it, and it will all resolve in episode 12, which Mandy's going to join us with. The basic plot line of the season is that Sigismund, Monty, they were involved in some way with this magistrate in Boogerton, which is a poorer, stinkier part of town, and this magistrate passed away before he could actually resolve some inner turmoils. And so he gave Monty and Sigismund this list of people he wasn't sure if he had judged fairly or not, and he sent them to lockdown. And so this is the only spoiler I'll give, but it comes up really early in the season that the place where they live is the old magistrate's house, and it's haunted by the old magistrate. The ghost lives there. And so they are trying to bring rest to this ghost by finding some of these people who are on the list. And so different guests will come on, and some of them will be looking for people on this list. Some of them, in one case, is a person who's on this list. And so there's, it's kind of interesting to see how this will develop, and we will kind of resolve that story arc by episode 12. And that's why the last episode is called Quest of the Dead Magistrate, and that's season 1. And we will have a different small story arc for season 2, but we're only halfway through this season, so let us finish this one up before we figure out what next season entails.
So you guys are both very experienced GMs. I'm wondering if you guys have tips for a new GM who's like bought the Weirded World or bought East for Destia or West for Destia. What are you looking for when you read through those books that you find like a location, and then you decide to flesh out that location. And what are the steps to like building out that section of the world for your storytelling?
So here's a couple of, and it depends on, I'm in education, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about the type of learner or the type of creative person you are. Some people take an image and they'll start working from that. They're very visual, and in that case I would start from all of the great artwork and go, ooh, that's really cool, I want to use that in my story, and then look for the text that matches it, or look at the map and go, ooh, I want to go here, looks like a really interesting part, and start from there. And then other people are different styles. They want to read it first and they'll read part of a tale, and I would say that some of those essays at the beginning of each chapter are great places to kind of get into the feel of the weirded world and say, ooh, that I want something like that, I'm going to read more about this chapter and dig into there. Don't just read it all and expect like I have to read all of this stuff before I can be a game master. You don't have to do that. You can look at those essays, look at the artwork, look at the maps, and just pick a place and blow it up.
It's better, really. It's better for you as the game master. It's better for the players. You start in a small place, even if you are making your own world, right? Even if you're making your own world, it is better to just pick a small place, do that first, and then begin to expand. Corey is exactly right. And the thing is, my friends, that this makes it much easier. I know many people have said our books are big. I know our books are big, right? But I really believe they are great reads. But I think Corey is right in this as well. You don't have to pick up that dang book and read it cover to cover, right? Right, James?
It's rough. I mean, not to be rude about it, but it's a lot of stuff and it's a lot of information. Normally, I do very similar to Corey. One of two things will happen. One is I'll go. So mine's a little different because normally I'm playing to my players. As a professional game master, I have to make sure that my stories are matching what my players want to play. But I think as a normal game master, you should kind of do the same thing. So have your players give you some ideas. Do they want to play a intrinsic, plot-driven, heavy espionage type cityscape, or do they want to do some dungeon delving, or do they want to do, Pirates of the Caribbean? The cool thing about Zyathé is it's so massive and it just continues to grow that you have all these ideas that you can pull from. And there's no way that I would come up with everything that is in these books. So instead of me coming up with everything, I flesh it out. So I don't have to come up with it anymore. I just have to add to it. And that to me can save hours upon hours of time, or it can even start an entire campaign instantly, because my friends will go, hey guys, we're bored of running in the dungeons right now. Let's go steal a pirate ship and let's go run the seas. Okay, cool. I've got the Blue Shine Archipelago ready to go. And all I got to do is read that, 45 pages. Just joking on that one. Maybe. I don't know. It might be 45 pages just for that area. And then I'm looking for points that hit those triggers. They hit the excitement moments. And
James,
we tried artwork.
I'm sorry, sir. We tried really hard to make those lore books entertaining, right? But even still being entertaining, you don't want to sit down and try to read a 400-page book cover to cover. Even novels that are that long can be intimidating for folks, right? But if you pick up pieces of it and do exactly what you're talking about and sort of expand with that and work with that and do these kinds of things, that is how you gain from the lore, where you don't have to spend all this time creating all this back content, right? Correct. Which is what we have to do. My friends, I hate to do this. But because it is 11 o'clock and because I have to do this Gloomporter Gloomers meet up, but I think we'll have you back. In fact, maybe we'll have you back. Maybe Mandy will just do this the last season, the last chapter, and the last chapter before when you're going to go on the next day, because is that 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now? Is that 3 weeks?
The last one is September 25th. So
it's good 4 weeks from now.
Yeah.
So I think we could do that. So and I think it'd be fun to chat about the season so far and do that. And what do you think, Mandy? Does that work for you?
That sounds great. And just to conclude our giveaway. We have our 3 winners: the Nerdly King, Chaotic Corey, and Shadowborn 1975.
Yay,
Please,
congratulations.
yes, please fill out the form at gooeycube.com/prizes so that way I can send you your loot. And absolutely, this conversation is great, and I think there's a lot of important information here that people can learn from. So
absolutely, and we're going to do more of this. I mentioned it before, so we're already starting down this path. And just a couple little quick things before you leave. I really would encourage you, if you have the cash, go get yourself a copy of Shadows and Gensicon before September 10th. You can get it on the website. You get the digital and physical copies. It's about a half an inch thick. It's filled with all manner of wonderful things, a great adventure to play. And the physical edition is very, very collectible. And yes, and definitely fill out the form. That's very funny.
it's
Definitely
true.
fill out the form because that's how we fulfill prizes and we do a lot of prizes.
There are a few winners from our game show that have not filled out the form, and I cannot send a prize to you if you don't fill out the form. So yeah.
Yes,
disclaimer.
fill out the form.
Fill the form.
Get the stuff for Epic Loots.
Yes.
And then also, my friends, I just want to make sure everyone's aware that we are very, very close on Magicka. It is in now fully laid out. The entire book is completely done. It's 300 pages. And now it is going into the final proof stages. Incredible artworks, wonderful tales and lore, all the classes and new spells and magic items and all of this stuff. And again, we try to design our books for both players and for game masters and players, right? The lore books are fine. They don't need to be the purview of only game masters. You can enjoy those if you're a player, and you should enjoy them. So that is there. We are at Colorado Springs Comic-Con this weekend. So if you're down in the area, if you're down in Colorado Springs, I'll be there tomorrow. Obviously today I'm not because I'm here and doing these other things, but I'll be there tomorrow. It'll be fun to see you if you can come down. And then for all of you who come every weekend and join us here on Saturday mornings, we love you and appreciate you very, very much. It's fun to see your funny comments and have coffee with you and do all of that stuff. Give us a follow if you haven't done so, and tell your friends about us. That'd be wonderful. We have quite a community here, and as you can see, we're not opposed to promoting other people's stuffs. I just threw up a post for Luke Gygax or Krim materials that they just fulfilled with their Kickstarter, which I supported, and we want to help people in our community to grow whatever they're doing as well. And are you guys ready? You ready, James? You ready, Corey?
You gotta do
ready.
May all your adventures
be sticky.
Aha! Bye, friends. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. We will see you soon.